Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to our motivational segment for today. I'd like to welcome Mr. A.G. Phoplonker to our program. Assalamu alaikum to you, Mr. Phoplonker.
Wa alaikum salam, Fatim.
And welcome to our program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, in fact.
Well, great to have you. Mr. Phoplonker is a businessman as well as an author and producer of the Ultimate Success Pack. He's also presented many live transformational shows. And Mr. Phoplonker, you've written your own book. So besides authoring your own book, you've also produced many courses and well over 3,000 color slides, in fact. And it's all about creating success in your life. Now, the first one apparently was The World at Your Feet, then A Journey to Greatness, and then Involve to Evolve. I love that catchy phrase and very profound as well. Mr. Phoplonker, your latest one, Beyond the Five Senses, what is that all about?
It's about doing things that you wouldn't normally do. It's about understanding that all the tools you need to succeed in your life is already within you. Everybody has this. There are no exclusions. So it's about understanding how to use it. So when you come to my full-day courses or my two-day courses and you leave, by the time you leave, you actually understand precisely how it is that you can recognize the tools that you have. And if I may briefly just go through some of them. It's about understanding that when you surround yourself with thinkers and dreamers and doers, and more important, with the kind of people that recognize the greatness in you, not necessarily in them, but in you. And that is why they link up with you. Right. That is why they like being with you, and you like being with them. Now, you'll immediately find something that you must think about, that most people don't like to have a relationship with thinkers, for argument's sake, or with doers. And it's not because they don't want it, but because they feel inadequate in themselves, or they have fears that we might not be up to that standard. And that is probably one of the first mistakes that you make, is that you feel, or your self-esteem is fairly low. And because of that, you don't do what you're supposed to do. So we share with you how to use your inner self to be able to do that.
Wow, amazing. So really unlocking those tools that we already have, our our full potential.
Absolutely.
And you know, Mr. Phoplonker, what you've mentioned was, you know, that how important it is our relationships that we have in our lives, and that is close as well as not so close even. So all those relationships in our lives are so important, because what is our life really all about but our relationships with others? And you mentioned that you know, that we need to seek out those relationships that, you know, that better ourselves, and that, you know, where we can benefit each other. So, you know, sometimes you find where some people actually, you feel enlightened, you feel positive around them, and where you have other relationships where you actually feel a bit more negative and down. Can you perhaps just elaborate a bit on that?
It's all vibrational.
Okay.
It's the things you can't see. You meet a person and you find that person is positive, but you haven't spoken to that person at all. But you pick up that vibe. We'll call it a vibe, it's a cliche, but it is a vibration. It's scientifically proven. And even that is in my course. We have a whole hour or more spent just on vibration. In fact, I call it the law of vibration. So definitely it's who you mix with. And that is why I said, if you mix with the thinkers and the doers, you become a doer and a thinker. Because neurologically, you are recording everything on your neurological system. But perhaps later on, I would like to go much more deeper into that. Perhaps what's also important, and what we discuss a lot, is the emotional intelligence factor. Because for you to mix with people, for you to mix with the right people, for you to overcome those debilitating fears that keep you back, those fears of the unknown. Fears of the unknown is simply what you don't know you fear, right? So when you develop that emotional intelligence, that thing that makes you emotionally mature, or to understand that if I have this emotion, it affects me negatively. So now you're aware of that emotion. So you'll try not to be in that emotional state, or you'll try and vibrate on a different level. If you want to succeed, then you've got to understand this emotional. We call that emotional intelligence, and we obviously discuss that quite a bit too. It's nothing that we discuss not quite a bit.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Shukran. Now, Mr. Phoplonker, if you were asked, what is the single most important piece of knowledge you need to possess to become whatever or whoever you desire, what would that answer be?
It is the knowing and the understanding that by directing the thoughts that I have in the direction of what I desire my life to be, and holding only those kind of thoughts in my mind, it will be so. Now, the statement, I like to use it, it is so. Bring it into the present. Because the minute I'm in the present, it is happening. When you say it may be so, or I want it to be so, you're thinking into the future. You know, it's like putting off things, procrastination. But saying it is so, and my thoughts are aligned with it, then here's the magic part. It happens. Because what you're now doing is you're tuning in to all the other thoughts that think like you. And you'll attract people in your life that is simply, you won't believe that you would have happened, that would have happened. But because you think in a certain way, and there's so many examples I can quote, that you think in a certain way. I'll give you maybe one example about myself. That will be fair, I think. Whenever I want something in my life, it can be it can be anything I want, anything. And I always balance it with fairness and happiness, and I'll explain that in a moment. Whenever I want something, then all I do is I think only those thoughts, and that it is so. And then something in my life would happen. Some people will get in touch with me. Some people will contact me. And in some way or another, that thought will manifest itself into reality. It is so. It is so is a step beyond belief. It is knowing.
So Mr. Phoplonker, you're saying that positive visualization is actually so much more powerful than we can even imagine.
Well, to visualize it, you do need imagination.
Yes.
But yes, in fact, one of the tools that you have is your imagination. Have you ever thought, but why do I have this imagination? And if you ever thought how seldom you use it?
Certainly not his full potential, I'm sure.
In everything we do, and that's what I mean by going beyond the five senses, smelling that which is not smelt yet, seeing that which cannot be seen yet because I'm restricted by my thinking about it. You know, it's like the Creator says in the Islamic book, the Quran. I'm not going to quote because I might be quoting wrong, but it alludes to the following, and it says something like, I will not change a state until you change it yourself first. Right. Now, if the Creator is saying something like that, what would you extrapolate from that? How would you interpret that? It would be, to me, it would be as follows, right? That, oh, so perhaps the systems are already in place. The Creator has put in place those systems that you can use. All you got to know is, how do I use it? And yeah, that you can do easily once you know what you're looking for. It's like, imagine I tell you to go somewhere. You don't know the address, so now you're going to find it very hard to find, isn't it? Right. But the minute you go there, and now the next time I say go and do that, you know where it is. Yes. So what happened? You became more aware. So why don't you do that to your everyday life? It's not difficult.
Wow. So, Mr. Phoplonker, would you say that that is a can-do attitude that we need to try and cultivate?
No, it is a I am doing attitude.
Okay, wow, what's the difference?
The difference is you're moving into the future when you could be in the present, doing it already. Why would you want to succeed tomorrow if you can succeed today?
That's really so profound. Mr. Phoplonker, so, you know, you make it sound so easy, and you mentioned that you wanted to speak a bit more about that fairness and that balance of fairness and, you know, when you actually visualize something, when you want something.
Okay, let's use a simple metaphor perhaps, or maybe something that you do all the time. Okay. You like to give gifts. Let's say you give a gift to someone. How do you feel?
Feels good.
Where does the feeling of feeling good come from?
Wow.
Right? That's because you're in alignment with the Creator's laws, the law of giving. Okay. And that giving can be anything. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be that smile, that advice, that motivation, that transformational tip. Yes. It can be anything. But if you give, you feel that. That's what we're talking about. But when you do something wrong, how do you feel? Something you shouldn't be doing.
You're definitely not so good.
Right. Now where does that feeling come from? You're out of alignment with the universe. So the universe has, the Creator in His creation, which is your universe, has put in place those kind of powers, those kind of angels, I'm going to call them. Okay. That is there. And if you tap into that, and you got to know how to tap into it, then you can recreate, reinvent your life totally from a position where you are to a position that you would like your life to be.
Amazing. You make it sound so easy, Mr. Phoplonker.
It is very easy once you do it. Okay. And you don't know, so this might sound like a bit of sales talk, but it's not. But if you take the effort and the time to come to one of our seminars, you will go back so much different, I may say.
Shukran. Right. So, Mr. Phoplonker, in conclusion, you know, what you spoke about today was, first of all, you know, we always think about that positive visualization, but what you are saying is bring it way more into the present, into the now.
Yes, just do it.
Do it right now.
Be it. Gandhi said something very important. Yes. In today's time, still, we hear a lot about, I fought for freedom, for argument's sake. Yes. I fought for freedom. Gandhi said, don't fight for freedom, be free.
Be free.
Yeah.
Just be what you want.
Be free.
Okay.
Don't aim towards anything, just be it.
Amazing.
Because you have that in you. And that's words from people, those are thinkers. They don't utter words in vain. They know what they're talking about. Nelson Mandela said something about passion in a similar vein.
Shukran. And I think, would you say it is very important to really reflect upon yourself when you do these things? You know, you have to know yourself quite well, and sort of know your you know, your where you're coming from.
Who is the observer?
Yes.
Right now you're talking to me. I'm hearing you. I'm interpreting what you're saying. But who's the you in you that's doing the talking? Right now you're using some of the tools, your vocal cords, etc., your brain, your sense of hearing, etc. But who's the you in you directing it? Who is the conductor that conducts that orchestra, that puts 100 instruments together to produce a fantastic outcome?
Definitely. Self-reflection is so important as well.
It is.
Shukran so much to you, Mr. Phoplonker. It's been amazing speaking to you today, and we look forward to speaking to you again, inshallah.
Inshallah. Shukran.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Certainly very profound words, and we thank Mr. Phoplonker for being part of our program today. Mr. Phoplonker is a businessman, author of his own book, and producer of many inspirational talks and courses. And we thank you for joining us on our motivational segment for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.